And welcome to part 7 of the Knuckles playthrough in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Again, we're still going through Sandopolis, and it hasn't really changed that much since the Sonic and Tails playthrough. Kinda lame, but oh well. I swear we're gonna get some change in this video. But I digress. Back to where my big launch spiel about the new 3D Sonic games and my personal opinion on them. I noticed earlier in one of the earlier vids someone counted Sonic 3D Blast as a 3D game, and I guess I should have included that in my opinion somewhere, but okay. I don't really. It's still a Sega Genesis game, but whatever. And honestly, I hate it. I'm dreading that game because it's so nauseating. I hate having to look for those stupid robots to save the flickies, and I just hate Sonic 3D Blast, honestly. But we'll get to that eventually. Much as I don't want to, we will. I wasn't a big fan of Sonic 3D Blast, honestly. I hate the whole top-down perspective, weird look of the game, and I just, The music's fantastic, though, I will say that. Sonic 3D Blast has awesome music. How about Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games and Mario and Sonic at the Winter Games? I guess some people have been wondering about that. You know, they're still button mashers at the end of the day. You know, there's nothing different from any other. Oh, and by the way, we got all the Super Emeralds. Dun dun dun! And during this final level, I also got myself a continue, in case you were wondering what the Knuckles icon looks like. So booyah! So now that we have all 7 Super Emeralds, dun dun dun, we can become Hyper Motherfucking Knuckles, which we will be showing off in this video. In fact, we're going to be showing him off pretty goddamn soon! Ugh. So this is Hyper Knuckles, folks, and I know what you're thinking. What's the difference? And you know what? I've been thinking that myself. He still climbs walls fast, he still has a little bit of a momentum in his speed, so he's a little bit faster. I think he's a little bit faster than Super Knuckles. He still has the same shape. Obviously, this time around he's got a second Knuckles following him. I guess it's supposed to be some kind of shadowy after effect or something that Hyper Form gives you. That was weird. And also, when Knuckles glides into a wall, he creates this big ground-shattering effect, and you even hear the boom when he hits a wall. And when that happens, everything on screen gets destroyed. Like every enemy that's not even on a wall, you know? So they could be flying enemies, and just him shattering into the wall will destroy everything. I think he can also breathe underwater, and that's about it. He's not that much different from Super Knuckles. But yeah, that's Hyper Knuckles. He doesn't get a cool, multicolored sprite change. He doesn't get new dreadlocks or something. He's still pretty much basic Knuckles, and yeah. And once again, this mini-boss is still as lame as ever. Make sure he follows you into the sand, and that's pretty much it. Can't make him any easier. But back to Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. At the end of the day, they're both button mashers with some Wii motion control gimmicks, you know? It's also very surreal to see Eggman, because I always play as Eggman, you know this. My favorite character in those two games was always Eggman, and he's pretty fucking good too, because he's the skill character, and I find the skill characters were always the best in those games. He would always kick ass. But, I was always Eggman, and it was just surreal playing the Winter Olympic Games and seeing Eggman dancing to, like, the Nutcracker suite, you know? Like, he's doing the twirls, and he's, like, doing the little arm gestures, and I'm like, what the fuck, Eggman? You're an evil robotic genius, and yet here you are dancing to the fucking Nutcracker suite with Mario and Luigi of all people. Like, it's just a surreal game. The one thing I wish is there were some kind of story or something in those two games, you know? Like any kind of, like, just cutscene. By the way, that roboticizer is obviously destroyed because in the Sonic playthrough we already destroyed it, hence why the ghosts were out in the beginning of the level. Just a nice little detail that shows you that this is after Sonic's story. And if you go over here, you'll find a special stage. But since I have all the Hyper Emeralds, I get 50 rings instead. I just wish the Olympic Games had some kind of cutscenes other than the first cutscenes, and there was nothing I could do about that. I wanted to glide, and I had to turn super, and sorry for this obnoxious supersonic music, or Super Knuckles music, but whatever. I know, I wish the music didn't change, but it does, and there's nothing I can do about it. Sorry, folks. Gotta love that gliding, though. I just wish Olympic Games had some kind of cutscenes or anything. Like, it doesn't even need a story, per se. It just needs some kind of fun cutscenes that show off some humor or something. Like, Subspace Emissary in Super Smash Bros. Brawl had no dialogue at all, except for, like, Snake saying something at one point, I think. Didn't have any dialogue at all. No one says anything to each other. No one even acknowledges anything, you know. There's no story to Subspace Brawl. Black shadowy creatures show up, you fight them. Big deal. And for some reason people are being turned into trophies. I'm not sure why. But, there's the wall pounding in effect. I crushed the sand open without even touching it. But I digress. But, you know, there was lots of cutscenes in Subspace Emissary, and it was good. We enjoyed them. Why couldn't the Olympic Games have that? In the season mode, they have you going through every event, but there's no, like, fun there's no fun CGI, like, movie for when you do it. All that happens when you beat the game, folks, is Eggman gets on stage, he holds the trophy, and he goes, "Ma ha ha ha!" He laughs, and that's it. Roll the credits, you know? I wanted something cool. Why is it Sonic Drift, the Game Gear racing game that had only 6 track themes? It had 18 tracks, but 6 themes, basically. Like, they were the same 6 races all the time. Why is it that game gives Eggman a personality when he wins, making him laugh at Sonic and then getting chased off? But a big-budget CGI... well, not CGI, but a big-budget 3D game by Nintendo and Sonic... by Nintendo and Sega, rather, which have Mario and Sonic, 2 iconic characters in video game history, 2 characters who hated each other, assumedly, when the 16-bit wars were going on. Why don't they get any, like, depth to their games? They don't get depth at all. You beat the contests and you'll unlock, like, new extra boards or some shit, but you don't get much for beating the Olympic Games, you know? I mean, other than the satisfaction of watching Eggman kick ass on a snowboard, I didn't get much from the Winter Olympic Games. But I digress. I guess if you like button mashing, and if you like Mario and Sonic, it's a good game, but it's a fun party game, I suppose. Those 2 games are fun party games. And Sonic and the Black Knight, I guess I'll get this out of the way quick because this is obviously, we're in a completely different pathway with Knuckles. You have to make the sand rise to push the block into the switch because the switch falls back way too quickly and the block holds it there, and yeah, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. Sonic and the Black Knight, crazy gimmick, I know. Sonic with a sword, he's in medieval times fighting knights and shit, but I still thought it was a much better game than Sonic and the Secret Rings because it wasn't so bad Wii motion control-ish, you know? You still moved with the control stick, and while it was on rails, it just felt like you didn't have to tilt the goddamn Wiimote to go backwards, you know? And it still had a homing attack that you could utilize, and it was still kind of fun. I liked getting, especially the duels in Black Knight. I loved dueling with Shadow or Knuckles or Blaze. That was always the fun part of the game. And the music's fan-fucking-tastic. I'm sorry, but every song in Black Knight was pretty kick-ass. And I'll punch anyone who says otherwise. So Black Knight was good. The Egg Golem here, pretty much the same boss fight it was before, except it moves faster. That's pretty much it, I kid you not. So the arms will be... you'll have less time to jump on the arms and hit Egg Robo. Anywho, yeah, that's my 3D spiel. Tune in, folks, because Part 8 is the last part of the Knuckles playthrough, I swear to God. Toodles.